Anthony Diaz is known as the Peacemaker and is also a divorce attorney, certified mediator, a CPA, and a licensed practitioner for the Centers for Spiritual Living. Through his personal experiences, has learned a way and techniques to teach people how to divorce with dignity. We're delighted to have him today on The Intentional Spirit. Welcome to the show today, Anthony. I'm so glad you're here.
So glad to be with you, and I'm honored to be in this beautiful space here. It's just magical.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that. You know,
Yeah.
we put a lot of effort into people understanding that they're kind of sitting at home with us, having a wonderful conversation that's not only pertinent but valuable, you know, for their life experiences. Well, you know, I've connected with you quite some time ago because it's so important that people have healthy, practical ways to live life, to approach situations. And one of the things that's always surprised me about people ending a relationship or people getting a divorce is that it seems like so many immediately after that, I mean, they just go to town calling their friends and their committee, and they just talk so ugly and discounting about the other person. And often I'll say to them, well, you know, just 6 months ago you were totally in love with this person, so what does that say about you?
Right, exactly.
Right? What
Yes.
does that say about you? This is the person that you chose. How do we get from here to here? This has become your life mission.
It has, and it's had a journey of its own. I think back on when it all started, and it started with my own divorce. And I was an attorney, and I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I'll just hire another attorney to handle it. It's just another case, and I'll just be able to move on. And I was really not prepared for the emotion that was going on with me and my wife. And it was a defining moment for me when I look back on that to think, here I am as an attorney, and I was so affected by that process. Imagine all the millions of people that are going through the same process that have no legal background at all. So it was at that point that I said that this can't be, and I need to get out and to let people know that it doesn't have to be high emotion, high anger, and they can have a beautiful resolution with dignity. Not only can they move on with their life, they can help their spouse to move on with their life as well. So this has been my mission and my purpose, and it's what I'm going to be doing as long as I can breathe.
Well, I'm so glad that you're out there and doing it, because we know like 60% today, statistics, is that families are divorcing, that we become a blended family 2 and 3 times. And it's so important also for the modeling with the children.
It really is.
Right?
It's, you know, we bring up our children in a way so that they can go out in the world and have a beautiful life and have healthy relationships. But why are we not thinking about that during the divorce process? We want them to be able to see that not all relationships work out the way we expected it to, but that's okay, and we can move on in an amicable and civilized way, so that when they're old enough to have relationships, they can have an understanding that if the relationship doesn't work out, that they can move on in a loving way.
Well, another thing I think that's so unique about your work is, you know, you've gone from the law to natural law, right? So
Right.
you've made this both and world, which I find very exciting, because often people think of legality, people think of the law, that's very independent and separate, if you will, from spirituality,
Yes.
from spiritual laws. And that I find very exciting, that you've been able to combine the two, because they need to be combined.
They really do, and
You know.
and what helped that process is when I became a licensed practitioner with the Centers for Spiritual Living, to be able to have that spiritual underpinning when I go out into court and I work with clients, to be able to have compassion for what they're going through, and to allow them to see their perfection. And to be honest with you, there really aren't a lot of attorneys that look at their clients and the legal process that way. But I think it's important for us as counselors at law to be able to guide our clients through the process, and to look at helping them to move on to the next part of their life. It's not just the court of law, it's the spiritual law that can be combined, and that's going to have a better outcome for everyone.
Absolutely, not just the court of law, but the spirit of the law.
Exactly.
How powerful is that?
That's amazing.
Well, we can see that change. Let's see that more divorce attorneys are aware of your books and your literature and what you teach. So, in speaking of divorce with dignity, what are some of the qualities that you offer in the teaching?
Absolutely. Well, Divorce with Dignity has many tools, and I've written a book on that, on how to be able to move on from your divorce with dignity. And one of the aspects that's really important that a lot of people are challenged with is to be accountable. And that's to look at the relationship from both sides, and to look at what their role was and what your role is in the ending of that relationship. And it's not for blame or to make somebody feel guilty, but to really look at what role did I play. And there was some good experiences and some not good experiences. And that's where a lot of people get tripped up, because they look at it as, oh, it's a judgment, oh, I did something wrong. And it really isn't. It's really to take an inventory of what happened in that relationship, because that is going to help you to understand what your role was, to be compassionate with yourself on whatever the outcome is, and that will help you to be more compassionate with your spouse, so that you can ultimately release whatever happened in that relationship, so you can move on and have a much healthier relationship, and you can release them to do the same.
Well, I found that, as well as you're talking about that, I found that in my own life with the two other significant relationships that I've had, that when you're talking about accountable, and I look back now, when I was with Jack and our relationship was ending, it was not talked about that much. There was not much of that closure, that accountability. And so I think another part of that is that then next relationship, it was very similar. Because the things that needed to be worked out within me were not worked out.
Exactly.
I could see my part in it, of course, and I didn't go around just blaming the other guy or gal, but yet I didn't really step into that accountability the way that I could have, because then that would have, like you said, it would have changed me. So not only is accountability effective with the ending of something, so we don't have such soul loss of the anger and the fighting and, oh, you threw my favorite collection away and all the other things, you cut all the heels off my high heel shoes, but that accountability changes a person, so that on down the road, next step, next relationship, then you're not, with somebody that's cuter, but you're just repeating the same old dynamics. So
yeah, that's really important. And you mentioned the statistic about 60% of first marriages ending in divorce. What a lot of people don't realize is 75% of second marriages end in divorce. So there's a higher percentage in second marriages, and the reason for that is not taking the time in between marriages to do the healing, to do the accountability. And we all know, what's the definition of insanity? Trying to do the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Well, that's what happens a lot of time. People, it's to be able to move on and have a successful next relationship, there's work that has to be done in between. And accountability is one of the ways that you can be able to do work on yourself, so you'll be open and free and ready for that next relationship. And when you're accountable for your last relationship, when you're entering into a new one, your lens of what you see and what you take in are totally different.
60% first marriage, 75% second marriage. Okay, it's time for change.
Absolutely.
There's no
And that's
doubt
why
about it. Oh my gosh.
And that's why to be able to work with people to help to give them tools so that they can move on from their first divorce or whatever divorce they're in, so their next relationship, their next marriage, they're more aware and they have the tools and the inner work to be able to now be open for the relationship that they've always desired.
Right. Wow. That is so powerful. Well, what's another avenue we could look at?
Another avenue is the divorce is like a death. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a grieving process that goes on. It's the death of a relationship. It may not be the death of a physical person as we understand it to be, but it's the death of dreams that you had and visions that you had of a future with someone that's not going to happen. And it's real easy, just like when someone physically dies, to be able to just move on and kind of like, I'm not dealing with it, I'm just going to keep moving on like nothing happened.
Exactly, yeah.
And you can try to do that, but your inside needs to be able to grieve. So what I help people to understand is the same steps for grieving somebody physically dying is happening during the end of a marriage. And there's all this, the progression of anger and then sadness, and then ultimately just saying, okay, I'm ready. But it's important to be aware that this process is going to happen whether you want it or not. So to be open and to be aware that this is happening, it invites you to go within and really understand what you're feeling, what emotions are going on. And by being able to do that, you are going to get to the other side of being able to be complete with the end of your marriage, and that will help you now to move on and to be open to that next relationship. We're humans. We love to be in relationship, and that's just our nature. And to be able to do that in a loving, healthy way will help you to position yourself for a much more rewarding relationship, and that's what the healing process from divorce is all about.
It's huge. And in some ways, to me, death of a relationship is even more significant than the death of another person. Because when someone's dying around you, even though inevitably we know all of us are going to be due that at some point, we didn't get a choice. There wasn't really a choice, brother Johnny is going to die, and he's got a few months. We didn't get a choice in that. But divorcing a person, there is a choice. So it's a huge cord severing there, on a soul level. And I love the depth in which you're addressing that, because it's so significant. Because often not only are you making a choice about ending a relationship with a person, there's a whole family that goes with that too.
There really is.
And it can be so painful because you go from being in the family of your loved one, the favorite person of the group, to, since you're divorcing, we no longer have anything to do with you. It can be very severe. Absolutely.
And I'm glad you mentioned this, because it's really an important point. There's really multiple losses going on at the same time. It's the loss of the relationship, the loss of this person in your life, the loss of their family.
Yes, and friends.
And friends as well.
Lots of friends.
Absolutely. And the loss of your family interacting with this other person and their family. So on so many different levels that are happening at the same time, it really is challenging to be able to get a handle on that and really understand it from that level, which is much larger. And that's even more of highlighting the importance of taking time to heal, and to just allow it. And for different people, it's different times. You know, some people can do it in a couple of months and they're ready to do the work and they've done it and they're ready to move on. And some people, it takes years to be able to do that. And whatever time period it is, it's fine. And I've found that the people that I work with, when they can be open to allow the healing process to be incorporated in their soul, their recovery time is much quicker. If they wait 3 to 5 years, they've had so much time of build up of resentment and feeling stuck and they don't know where to go. You have to unwind that. So for my legal clients that are going through the divorce, I actually start working with them on the healing process. You don't have to wait till the legal process is over. You can start that now if you're ready. And many times when the legal process is over, the emotional process has also been completed, and now they don't have to wait. They can start to move on and enjoy their life.
That is so powerful. I mean, because when I was working with my attorney, it's, we're going to get them. We're going to go. We're going to, we're going to slam them.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wait, I'm a peaceful warrior. I don't want to, I don't want to be in a battle. We're going to go get them, So how cool is that? I mean, they must be so surprised to, tell us on the other side, as far as you've worked with some clients, they've gone through several different processes that you guide them through.
Sure.
What is it like? Are they able to go to mediation with kind of a meditative perspective? Are they able to do that? It
kind of goes across the board. The more intense the ending of the marriage was, it's a little bit more challenging because you've got people in a really raw place, and to be able to help them understand the legal process and to work with them through the emotional process, is very challenging. So I've got clients that come in and they're like, you know what? I want it to be peaceful, and that's why I want you, so let's work on this together. Some other people come in and they kind of have the same mindset as your attorney. I want to go and get them, and I want this to be...
I want to make them pay.
Right. And we really have a very interesting conversation when they want that, because they're not really aware of the ramifications of what does that mean? And I have them explain that, and when they explain it, they're like, that's not really, I didn't think I meant that. So a lot of people have anger and they try to translate it into the legal process. And when I can help them understand, one, it's not going to help the legal process, it's going to actually make it worse, and here's how. Okay, so now I understand that. And here's how it's really going to affect you to come from a place of being angry and wanting to get back at the other person. Here's what effect it's going to have on you now and in the future, and is that really what you want?
Yeah.
And many people are not aware. They're so into that emotion that to help them peel back and see what's behind that emotion. Oh, well, that's really what's making me angry. Well, I don't want to be angry. What can we do to work on that? But to help them understand that there is something going on. It's not the toothpaste, the cap of the toothpaste. Right. There's something else behind that. And people that are ready and willing to go down that route will go down that route. But there are other people that need to go through the anger and need to go through that process. And, many times I tell them, I might not be the right attorney for you right now. And to be honest with them on, here's here's what the process is, but you have to be ready for it. You know, and some people go away and then they come back 6 months later, okay, well now I'm ready. So it's really helping people to understand the effect of that wanting to get a pound of flesh is going to have on them, to help them understand that.
Yeah, and what would you say is the greatest joy of the work you're doing now?
The greatest joy is to, at the end of the legal process, for my client to come up to me and and to tell me, you know, I thought it was going to really be hard, but it wasn't. You know, and I appreciate you for being honest with me and helping to guide me. And that is so rewarding for me, because now I have this person that could have gone a lot of different directions. They're out into the world, and who knows what effect that's going to do on the world in general. It just starts with one person. And if you work with one person at a time, we can do a lot.
Well, I'm very grateful to the work that you're doing, and certainly am totally supportive in so many more people in the world knowing about you. Divorce is such a thing in our society today, and to be intentional and to be an intentional spirit, you want information. You know, information and education about a particular thing is what makes us more healthy as human beings. So get involved, understand that there can be divorce with dignity. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you so much, Anthony, for being on our show. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you, Temple, so much.
Yes.
It's great to be here.